The cathedral has a long-standing history in reconciliation, particularly expressed through the community of the Cross of Nails, which is national and international. We have three priorities: healing the wounds of history, learning to live with difference and celebrate diversity, and building a culture of justice and peace. So we're going to look a little bit at how we might put those into practice in a local context. Charlotte?
Yes, and we'll be looking at those three priorities through the particular lens of church community, namely St Clare's, and how we are doing that in that pioneer community. For example, healing the wounds of history, a lot of the people who come to us are people who have had a difficult journey with church. They've either felt unwelcome at the church they were at, or just like they didn't fit anymore, or some have actually been asked to leave their churches. So we very much want to be a place where people can come and feel safe again in church and maybe begin that journey of healing with them.
In my stream in the seminar, we'll look a little bit at how a local church might choose to engage with its local community, looking perhaps at where the fractures and divisions are in that community and how they might step into them using those three priorities. We're also going to be taking some input from Emma Griffiths, who heads up our International Cross of Nails schools work, and she'll be talking about how to embed reconciliation priorities in local schools, particularly using teachers and students as ambassadors and champions of that reconciliation work. Lots of the schools engaging with our Icons programme are already involved in restorative justice programmes, and so that of course helps address very practical issues to do with behaviours in the school community, but it can also help them engage with partnerships that they have either within different parts of the country or internationally, just to help them work on how to develop good and reconciling relationships with people who are perhaps quite different to themselves.
I think I always enjoy conferences because of the diversity of people you get to meet, and very different people, and people that you might not get to meet before. And having looked at just the speakers, that looks like a really exciting range of people, and then you get all the people who are coming as well. And also, I just always love talking about St Clare's and answering questions about that, and sharing something of what we're doing with other people.
Brilliant.
And one of the great things is that that Charlotte often takes bookstores out to other conferences, and so having lots of people here able to access the amazing resources that St Clare's offers, particularly for missional work, will be wonderful. As far as I'm concerned, it is always fabulous meeting new people, especially people who've not come here to the cathedral before. This is an environment which impacts everybody that comes, mostly for good. Occasionally people say, oh, I hate it, but that's also interesting. But finding out how people are responding to the space and listening to the journeys that have brought them here. I think for the conference itself, there are so many creative ways to engage with our local communities, particularly through the lens of reconciliation. And so to get some greater insight in that through some of the people whose names I know but haven't actually met in person, and many more who I'm looking forward to seeing in this environment, is, I think, going to be really tremendous. Coventry Cathedral is a place that has pilgrimage at its core. We like to bring people in, if we possibly can, through the ruins of the old cathedral, which speaks of the honesty of the world's brokenness. But of course, in a true Christian ministry sense, the story doesn't end with that devastation and loss of the ruins, but leads you through into the new cathedral. And one of the things that's so extraordinary about the new cathedral is that it has a wonderful collection of 20th century stained glass, which you can only fully see by walking the whole length of the cathedral and turning around and looking back out into the world from behind the altar. And then the blaze of colour is an extraordinary sight to behold. And so I look forward to be able to introduce people to that, along with the story that gave birth to this extraordinary place.
At St Clare's, we're very much about being a community, not just putting on a church service. So people getting to know one another and supporting one another is really important to us. And using creativity in that is part of it. So I'm excited to see what some of the creative strands at the conference we can maybe learn from, as well as being able to offer. I think creativity is such a good way for people to work through what's going on with them and to think about reconciliation.